Hey Yang, if you've been tuning in this month, you know that we have a different theme every month, and the month for the month of March, which I had to march along with it, is Get Moving in March. We started off today with this new poster that I just received of my middle son, Marcus, who got veneers last fall. He just got out of college, started a job with a consulting firm in downtown Austin, and wanted to improve his smile. So even at 25 years old, it's not too early to make some improvements. It could make a difference in his career. So I had to get a little free advertising out of it. So he was in Austin Monthly this past month, and we made a poster size just to show him off here. But really proud of him, and has a great new smile. We did upper and lower veneers. And so back to marching in March. We got one more week that you have to put up with me doing the marching, but we're doing topics about getting moving in March. And so today is no different. As you know, if you've been tuning in to past episodes, especially this month, we've been talking about different ways that getting moving, not only with your body, but last week we even talked about vacations. Hope you tuned into that. If you didn't, it's archived on our YouTube site, so for Facebook, and I mean for Austin Dental Spa on YouTube. We have a YouTube channel, and so you can go back and see why vacations can actually, which is a different kind of getting moving, going somewhere, how that can actually extend your life. Now, today, we're going to talk about something that's a favorite subject for me, not so much for some other people that lead a little more sedentary life, but we're going to talk about weight training, resistance training, and how that is different than regular training. Now, there's a lot of people think exercise means regular exercise is walking, which we talked about the first week of this month, or getting on a treadmill, or going for a jog. Well, those are aerobic exercises, but unless you're doing it at an extreme level, like training for a marathon, they don't really build muscle. To build muscle, you have to give some resistance to the muscle repeatedly over a prolonged period of time in order to build the muscle, because the way muscles work is if you stress them enough to where they get exhausted, they break down a little bit, and then they rebuild stronger because they go, oh, this idiot's going to keep doing bicep curls 3 times a week, so I better get stronger. So that's a typical muscle response to stress. Actually, a good kind of stress, but still, it's stress. So if you're not doing some kind of resistance training, and I'll explain that in a minute, then you're not going to build muscle mass. And we're going to talk a little bit about that. Muscle mass, I found this very interesting. Muscle mass decreases approximately 3 to 8% per decade after the age of 30. 3 to 8% per decade. So when you get to be in your 60s, that's 3 decades that I potentially have been decreasing or declining in muscle mass 3 to 8%. That's not acceptable to me. I work out with a personal trainer twice a week, every week, and do some workouts on my own. And it's always with free weights and resistance bands. But a lot of people lead more and more sedentary lives. I'm going to get to 70s and 80s here in a second. Researchers estimate that generally people between the ages of 60 and 70 years of age have lost 12% of their muscle mass from what they had when they were in their 30s. 12%. People over 80 who do not include strength training in their weekly routine will lose 30% of their muscle mass. 30%. Cardio and aerobic exercise like walking or running is not adequate, like I covered a while ago. Without strength training, you'll become weaker, less mobile, and less functional. The bottom line, on average, American adults we're talking about, who don't do strength training on a regular basis can lose 4 to 5 pounds of muscle per decade. So Think about that. All it takes is 3 times a week, at not even 20, 30 minutes of strength training. You can get those resistance bands. You can order those on Amazon. They come in different colors, different thicknesses, so that they resist more and more and get harder to pull. But the easy ones, you can just stand on them and do curls and do pull-ups like that and work your biceps and triceps. I do that darn near every Thursday. Tomorrow will be my day. So why is it important to maintain muscle as you age? Losing muscle will keep you from being able to do what now would be your everyday activities. In 10 years, you might not have enough muscle to be able to do things like lift things, carry things in from the car, even like groceries. It could hinder your ability to cope and recover from an illness or an injury. It's been proven that athletes recover quicker from surgeries and other kinds of injuries. They recover faster from the flu. I haven't seen a COVID research yet, but I'm sure it's somebody studying that. Do athletes recover faster? But in general, people who are healthy and fit recover faster from injuries or illnesses. Loss of muscle mass can also lead to dangerous falls. We've all heard about people in their 80s and 90s that just fall while they're walking across the room. It can help with better blood sugar control and slowing down bone loss, because bones, like muscles, if they're not being utilized, they get weaker. When you commit to a strength training regimen, it also can help boost growth hormone, testosterone, improve your mood, boost your sex drive, and make you feel happier and more vital overall. So what is resistance or strength training? It's like I've said, it's using barbells, free weights we call them, barbells, dumbbells, resistance bands. They have videos. A lot of those resistance bands, the companies send you a video along with that, or you can go onto YouTube to that company's website, and they show you different exercises that you can use with those resistance bands so that you can utilize them correctly. Some of them you slam in the door and you can do things overhead while it's pinched into the top of the door. There's 50 different exercises you can do with those resistance bands. But the important thing is that resistance of your muscles pushing against it till they get fatigued. And that's how you build muscle strength. A beginner strength building workout, 20 minutes 3 to 4 times a day. And I'd say start with those resistance bands, and then you work up from there, because muscles tend to get stronger the more they get used. So 20 minutes 3 times a day, if you're not willing to commit to that, then you're going to be one of those that loses muscle mass. Now, March Madness is going on. I know y'all have been watching that. If you're into basketball, college basketball, there have been some great games. There have been a couple of big upsets. My youngest son is at Purdue, and they were a number 1 seed in one of the regions, and they got knocked off by the number 16 seed, a little school up in New Jersey called Fairleigh Dickinson. And nobody would have expected that. They were nobodies, and they knocked off the big dogs that I had going to the Final Four. Anyway, why do I bring this up? Because of all the Gatorade commercials that are on March Madness. In between, at every timeout, they're showing this new Gator Light. That's like their new marketing gimmick. And I actually looked it up compared to Pedialyte, which is a very common enzyme replacement. But they claim that this rehydrates you faster because it's got added electrolytes. And it said 75% less sugar. But when you look up the ingredients, it is 75% less sugar than the original Gatorade, which came out back in the 70s. But the original Gatorade had a whopping 48 grams of sugar in a 12-ounce bottle. No, actually an 8-ounce bottle. 48 grams of sugar, which they never really talked about. The new Gator Light has 21 grams. So it does have 70% less sugar, but it's still got 21 grams of sugar. That's a lot. It does have more electrolytes, but do you really need them? If you're LeBron James and you're playing basketball every night, or if you're one of these kids on the college basketball teams that are still in the NCAA tournament, hook 'em horns, Texas made it to the Sweet 16, you might need the extra electrolytes. But if you're just doing regular workouts, water is actually a much better choice for you than the electrolyte replacement drinks, because they all have sugar in them, and most of the flavors of Gatorlyte also have red dye number 40, which has been proven to be a potential carcinogen. So, choose your poison, but I'd say stick with water and skip the Gatorlyte. Sorry, Gatorade, but I'm just telling the truth here. So, thought you might like to know that, so that you can smile like I do when they show those Gatorlyte commercials and say, it's something new and improved and different. It's a little improved and less sugar, but it's still not really good for you. Better for you than Pedialyte, though, because Pedialyte has more sugar in it, and it has, I think, 2 different artificial sweeteners in it, as well as 2 or 3 extra food dyes that Gatorlyte doesn't have. So if you're going to choose between one or the other, I'd choose Gatorlyte instead of Pedialyte. So that's my 2 cents for the day. Have fun with March Madness again this weekend, and next week we should be down to a Final 4 teams. So I'll see you next Wednesday for another version of Wisdom Wednesday. In the meantime, keep marching.